Hi there, welcome back to a new week here on the YouTube channel. We're back again. We've gone back to Final Fantasy today. I know I did some Edge of Eon stuff last week. I'm sorry, Edge of Eternities. I keep saying Edge of Eon. Sorry, Edge of Eternities. To finish off last week, there'll be some more coming this week. But there's one card that I realised that I hadn't covered that I really did think long and hard about, and it is actually Cecil, the Dark Knight. 1 black for a 2/3 legendary creature human knight, has Death Touch. And when Cecil deals damage, you lose that much life. If your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, untap Cecil and transform it. And then it becomes Cecil, the Redeemed Paladin. A 4/4 with lifelink, then who says whenever he attacks, other creatures you control gain, other attacking creatures gain indestructible until the end of turn. This has probably been one of the more complicated Final Fantasy cards that I've tried to think about, because on one side you want to get down from 40 to 20 or less to flip them, but then you want to get your life back up really quickly so you don't die. So yeah, I had a lot of fun thinking about Cecil, and I think I've come up with a way to do it. So bear with me today, but here's what today's deck really does look like. Right, before I get started, this is bracket 3 at the moment, this deck, but that is due to 1 card, so you can drop that card when I get to it. I will point it out, but there's the only reason it's pumped up to bracket 3. Otherwise, it's bracket 2, so bear that in mind. Anyway, at the beginning, Planeswalkers, Liliana the Necromancer's first one here. +1 for 5 mana, +1, target player loses 2 life. Target yourself, get your life down to start with this with. Then, returning creature cards from our hand isn't the worst plan. If we can get up to the -7, destroying a couple of creatures and getting 2 creatures back from graveyards under our control isn't the worst plan. Obniculus are ignited also in. Draw a card and lose a life for +1, destroy a creature. And then whenever an opponent gets an emblem, target opponent gets an emblem with, whenever a player draws a card, you lose 2 life. So, that's fine. Professor Onyx does the same thing. You lose a life, look at the top 3 cards of our library, put 1 in the hand, the rest in our graveyard. So another way of us losing life. And then Vraska, Betrayal Sting. 0 for the proliferate ability of drawing a card and losing a life. So we'll cope with that plan. It's not the worst thing in the world. Now, 22 creatures in the deck, and a lot of them are white ones that help us life gain. Then we've got the black ones that help us lose life. So I've tried to keep it fairly easy. Starting with the Children of Core list, because you can sacrifice this off and gain life equal to the life you lost this turn. So, you could drop all the way. You could lose like 10 life in the turn to get down to under 20, or 20 exactly, to flip Cecil. And then at the end of the turn, you can just sack the children, get that life back, and you might be okay again. Guide of Souls is here to give us that life and energy counter, along with Lunarch Veteran. Mother of Runes helps us to give a way of getting Cecil through, because although Death Touch is difficult to block, you do want to make sure it gets through some of the big stuff that turns up in Commander. So giving a protection from the colour you're attacking, or the player you're attacking, could be useful. Ocelot Pride has the first strike and life link, and then we start getting the Pussycats, which is fine. Soul Mender to gain a life when we need it, then Soul's Attendant and Soul's Warden lets us gain the life as things happen. From there, we have the Judge Magistrate Gabranath from the wonderful Final Fantasy set. Whenever another creature or artifact you control dies, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on them. And then, because we will probably randomly gain some life while we're trying to get down below 20, we must have Karloff of the Ghost Council here to get the counters and exile creatures when we get to remove 6 counters. So we're here. Lothal, the Corrupt Sheriff, helps us get there a little bit quicker, because obviously when someone casts their second spell, we lose a life and create a treasure token, so that's pretty good. And then Sorin of House Markov also makes an appearance for the lifelink and the extort ability if we need to do this. So, and then we flip into the Planeswalker version of Sorin of Ravenous Neonite. Get the food, deals damage to amount equal to the amount of life you gained this turn to any target, and then -6, gain control of target creature. Yeah, that's fine. Murderous Rider, Swift End. Swift End does lets us lose the 2 life when we cast it to kill off a creature. And then obviously when we get the Murderous Rider in play, it has life links, so we get back a little bit. Because we have quite a few knights in here, I have played Dion, Bahamut's Dominant. Did a whole deck last week on this, so please go back in the channel and check this out if you want to see a pure Typal Knight deck. But we have the upside of this giving Cecil a way of flying, so a little bit of evasion for Cecil if we needed to, or whatever version of Cecil, to be fair. And then obviously transforms into Bahamut, Warden of Light as well, so yeah, we'll go with this. Dread Presence does the whole let's drop a swamp and we'll lose a life and draw a card. Or, you know, if we then need to do the whole 2 damage to any target and we gain 2 life once we've flipped Cecil, all well and good. Exemplar of Light just gives us a way to chuck around some +1/+1 counters and draw some creatures. Squall, Seed Mercenary, another card I've covered. It's the first one of my Final Fantasy videos that's hit over 1,000 views, so please go back and watch that as well. Whenever a creature attacks alone, it gains double strike, which is quite nice. If you've got Cecil down, you can do double striking with your Death Touch, which is fine by me. Angel of Thune just gives us chucks around some +1/+1 counters when we gain the life. And then Doom Whisperer, we can pay 2 life to surveil 2. Just think, if you've got Cecil in play, hopefully you'll get the damage in, and then whenever it deals combat damage to you, whenever Seal deals combat damage, you lose that much life. If your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life, you get to transform him. Now, I believe it's got to have the damage dealt with Cecil, but this gives you a way of doing it. You can put Cecil's damage on the stack and then just pay 2 life to get down there and just surveil a whole load of times. So, yeah, kind of works. The Speed Demon's here because once we hit maximum speed, we'll be losing 4 return and drawing 4 cards. Hopefully we'll be counteracting it. And then Vona, the Butcher of Magnan, also makes an appearance. Pay 7, destroy target non-land ability, just activated during our turn. It also has lifelink, so it helps us get back up once we've got Cecil flipped. The last card that helps us do this, which is a little bit expensive at 8 mana, is Villas, the Broker of Blood. We can pay a black and 2 life and give a creature -1/-1. And then whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. So, you know, not the end of the world, but we have to be a little bit careful we don't deck ourselves. Sorceries, well, the straightforward one for this deck is Reanimate. If you kill some creatures off, and we've got ways killing creatures off coming up shortly, reanimating someone's big creature from the graveyard and losing that much life might help you flip Cecil even quicker. Feed the Swarm lets you lose life when you destroy a creature or an enchantment. Its sorcery speed is a little bit tricky, so I prefer it as instant, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Then we have card draw and Night's Whisperer. And then it's not that, it's Damn, to be fair. But it's Noctis Death Magic. I just prefer the artwork on this one. I didn't change this one around. You can pay 2 black to destroy a target creature, or you can pay Wrath of God mana to destroy all the creatures. So it's here. But I really did like the artwork on this one, so I left it alone. Sign in Blood, target player draws 2, loses 2. And then Forbidding Fruit, target player draws 2, loses 2. And then if we spend 3 black mana, we do get a food token. So, you know, we do have some way of getting some life back from this one. Funeral Rites, we draw 2, lose 2, and put them in mill 2. So, okay, milling's a little bit harsh, but it works. Gruesome Realization, draw 2, lose 2, and we can make everyone's creatures smaller if we need to save ourselves before we go in for attack with one of the versions of Cecil. Read the Bones lets us scry, then draw and lose 2. Risky Shortcut, we draw 2 cards, and each player loses 2 life. So this one's quite nice, so it does hit everybody. Toxic Deluge is an easy one. We can pay a massive amount of life, get down to 20 or less, and then cast Cecil and hopefully keep us stay alive until our next turn, so we can then attack someone with Cecil and get him flipped into the Redeemed Paladin. So, yay. Circle of Power, just to give us a few wizards. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, then we get some wizards, and wizards we control get +1/+1 and lifelink to the end turn. It's purely here as a card draw and a blocker generation. Damnation helps us control the board. And then we have some other things. So Path to Exile, obviously. Restoration Magic is quite nice, especially if you've got Cecil as the Paladin version. We can choose 1 additional cost. We can pay 5 mana to give permanents we control hexproof and indestructible and gain 6 life at instant speed. So it does keep us in the game. Swords to Plowshares, typical removal. Then Infernal Grasp, so we can destroy a creature and lose 2 life. Overkill. Now, I'm going to talk about Overkill for a second. It's in here, don't get me wrong, great card. Give anything -9,999, not an issue. This is meant to be Dismember. Now, because I play mainly online nowadays, I did look at putting Dismember in here, but for some reason, the cheapest version of Dismember available at the moment is round about 10 tickets, so I didn't pick it up to put in this deck. So I put Overkill instead in. Now, if you're playing it in real life, Dismember's better because you can pay 4 life and 1 to kill, give something -5/-5, which obviously drops your life total, helps Cecil out. But since I'll be mainly playing this deck online, well, I'll probably only play this deck online to be fair, Dismember's a little bit out of my price range at the moment, but you can swap this for Dismember. Just wanted to point that out. Anyway, Withering Torment, destroy target creature or enchantment, lose 2 life. Cruel Truths, surveil 2, then draw 2 and lose 2, which is a nice way to dig down if you something specific you want. And then we have a lot of artifact ramps, so Mox, Tantalite, Soul Talisman, the Elixir of Immortality to, if everything starts going pear-shaped and you do need to fire life, just fire this off as soon as you can. Phoenix Down's a little bit fun. I wanted some way of returning a target, of reanimating some of our things, and there's quite a few skeletons, spirits and zombies around, including some of the dragons that are kicking around at the moment, so you know, does give you a little bit more removal if you're up against one of the type or decks of this type. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, each of the medallions are in to cut the costs down, and then Talisman of the Hierarch, it's a pain artifact at the end of the day, which helps us lower our life total to help us get Cecil out, so it sits here. I've also played Darkness Crystal just so we can grab other people's creatures once we get that 10 mana kicking around. Likewise, the Wind Crystals here to help us regain our life once we get down so low that we need to get extra life as we go along. Enchantments, there's 6. Ajani's Welcome does help us with our life gain, I'm aware of that. And then we've got Dreadhorde Invasion because, zombies are fun and amassing and losing a life is fine by me. And if we can get a zombie up to power 6 or greater, we do get to give it lifelink, so yay. Lunar Convocation is also in. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. That's fine. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you gained and lost life this turn, you get a bat token. I quite like that idea since we probably will be gaining and losing a lot of the time. And this gives us another way of 2 mana, pay 2 life and draw a card. That's another way of getting our life total down. So from that point of view, quite liked it. Abiding Grace is here. I have put this in. There's one reason I've done this. A couple of times I've forgotten when I've been testing this deck to put Cecil back into my command zone, and that kind of hurts. So I had to find a way of getting him back from the battlefield. This works perfectly. So yeah. Gets you around the command attacks if you've got Abiding Grace in play. Just be careful if they decide to kill your Abiding Grace when Cecil's in your graveyard. And then the Game Changer, if you don't want to play Necropotence, take this out. This will drop it to bracket 2, I will be honest with you. But yeah, Necropotence is a very traditional way of getting your life total down in black really quickly. You can pay all the life you need to get Cecil flipped. So yay, go for it, not a problem. And then finally, Phyrexian Arena, the fixed version of Necropotence. It's just a static one at the beginning of your upkeep. Each turn you get to do that. Now, lands are a bit strange. Now, usually I'll just say I have normal black and white lands in the deck. But I have played all the sack lands because obviously paying 1 life to get our life total down to help Cecil out is not a bad plan. We've also got Caves of Collis in here, for the damage it'll deal to us when we tap it for white or black to help again get our life total down to help Cecil out. Like I say, all the other sack lands are in here. There was one other card, Mana Confluence. There you go. Pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Everything else, 6 plains, 6 swamps, Temple of the False God, Reliquary Towers here just because we need it here if we're going to basically spend a whole load of mana on Necropotence so we don't have to discard everything. And that's it. That's my take on Cecil Dark Knight stroke Redeem Paladin to kick this week off with. Yeah, quite fun. I am going to try and cover, I will be playing on stream this week. This will be the last week of streams this week before my 2-week holiday, so just be aware of that. There won't be, I'll try and get some extra ones in if I can, but there will be streams this week. So you'll see Cecil being played before I disappear off on holiday. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be quite challenging to make sure we don't die when we drop down below that 20 life limit. So, it's going to be an interesting challenge, especially in Commander. So I hope you've liked this one. Next week, there'll be a mixture of decks coming up, just so you're aware. The rest of this week, I'm going to do some Edge of Eternity stuff. So there'll be one tomorrow, which has been spoiled as I record this one. And then the following couple of weeks, there's a lot of things I've recorded over the last few weeks on the build-up for my holiday, because timing is going to be an issue. So bear in mind, and Edge of Eons will be back as soon as I'm back from my holiday, so keep that into yourselves. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if I've missed anything out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Really good if you hit the share button as well to get my numbers up and help me get there. We're still trying to push towards 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2025, so any help there would be greatly appreciated. But that's it for now. I'm going to stop waffling and leave you to it. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.